Hi, my name is Gabriela Rodriguez, and I am a white female living in Brookfield, Wisconsin. Brookfield, Wisconsin is a suburb of Milwaukee. In Brookfield, the white to African American breakdown by race is pretty jarring. About 89.78% of people in Brookfield are white, 9.11% are of other races, and only 1.11% are African American. Even when attending high school, I could see just how little diversity was present. Most of my classes were filled with white students and maybe sometimes one student of color. After doing some research, it seems that the migration of middle-class white populations that we call suburbs today was observed during the Civil Rights Movement and termed white flight. White flight led to many schools being segregated and primarily dominated by white people. Today we see more diversity in classrooms because of the Brown v. Board Supreme Court case of 1954, which ruled that segregating schools was illegal. Yet while segregation in schools was ruled unconstitutional, many schools remained the same until challenged in 1957 by 9 teens. The Little Rock Nine were a group of 9 African American students who were one of the first African Americans to enter a high school dominated by white students. As seen in the picture, the 9 students were met with verbal harassment from their white counterparts and even prevented entrance into the school by the governor. Since segregation in schools were considered unconstitutional, President Dwight Eisenhower federalized the National Guard and sent U.S. Army troops to the scene. Personally guarded by soldiers from the National Guard and the Army's first 100 born, the Little Rock Nine began regular class attendance at Central High. This led to many more schools allowing children of color to enter their schools. While schools today are very diverse and inclusive, there are still schools trying to segregate students by color. A private school in New York plans to segregate students by race because, as the principal of the school stated, research points to the academic, social, and emotional benefits to being in a classroom with others who share racial, ethnic, linguistic, and other cultural backgrounds. All across New York, schools are still showing signs of segregation. When looking at the map of New York on the right, dark blue areas on the map have a higher number of non-white students. When comparing it to the school rating of those areas with a high number of African American students had very low school ratings. African American students are still being segregated today, even after the impact that the Little Nine Rock students had on educational civil rights. Separating students by race would be like taking 2 steps back on the civil rights movement. A student's color of their skin should not be a reason they can't get an education. To me, what was most shocking is that the private school in New York reasoning for separating students by race is because it will be more academically beneficial to the student to be learning from peers of the same race. Yet I believe that you can actually learn more about people's different cultures and backgrounds when having classmates of different races and ethnicities.